Good day students, welcome to example 6 of week 4. So we're going to create this scissor for this week, and you'll see it's a bit more difficult than last week, but it's still quite easy. And you'll also see that it's symmetrical, so it's symmetrical about that center line there, 40 degrees or 20 degrees from the scissor blade. So the easiest way to recreate this is to create one and then just use the mirror feature. So I'm going to start at that circle there, the screw. That's the only thing that's not symmetrical, but I'm just going to use the outline first, and the dimensions for that is given on this detailed view. So you'll see detail A scale is 5 to 1, so this thing is 5 times larger. The dimensions is still the same, so it's still 10 millimeters there. It's just the visual representation that's 5 times larger than that view. So I'm going to start with that circle. So going into NX, I'm going to create my sketch on the front view. Okay, we know that that circle is 10 millimeters, a diameter of 10. Okay, so you see that this component is, feature is circles connected together. So I'm going to start with that because we know the distances from that circle to these ones, and then move back to that side. So that circle is 50 millimeters. Minus 10 times 2, so it's 30 millimeters, but I'm going to start with that big circle with 50 millimeters diameter and then just use the offset curve. So I'm going to add a circle here somewhere with a diameter of 50, and I'm going to put an offset of 10 millimeters going in, because we know the outer circle is 50, meaning that the inner circle needs to be 30. So you can measure that if you want to. The diameter of that thing is 30 millimeters. Okay, so then there's also that small circle, diameter of 20 millimeters, so I'm going to add it somewhere there. Okay, now we can add some constraints. We know that they are 30 millimeters apart, so using the rapid dimension from that center point to that center point is 30 millimeters. And then also we know that center points are 5 millimeters apart vertically. So once again, rapid dimension from that center point to that center point vertically upwards, it's 5 millimeters. Okay, so now that circles is defined. That circles are connected by a curve, and that curve has a radius of 80 because it's the same as this curve. There's just 10 millimeters offset, and that's not a circle with an offset, so you need to subtract. So that circle, that curve there is still 80 millimeters. So I'm just going to add this arc, which goes from the inner circle to that smaller circle. So it's from that circle to that circle, and we have a radius of 80. And now you just need to select the correct, so they are tangent constraints, are tangent onto that circles. And now we do not, let me just see if I added it correctly. Yeah, so it's that circle or curve. And then we also know that there's that curve of 80 connected to a radius 30 connected to that vertical line. So I'm just going to add the vertical line here somewhere. Not going to define it for now. Then I'm going to add an arc that goes from that line somewhere here. It has a radius of 30, and it is so that it's constrained there, and I can just add it like that. So let me just remove this. Just want to make sure of that. So tangent constraint, so it's a tangent constraint there, and then it's connected to an arc of 80 millimeters, which is firstly connected onto that 30 millimeter arc, and then connected to this 50 millimeter circle. So what I'm going to do, you'll see that from there it's another arc. It's not 50 millimeters anymore. So just to be able to trim it there, I'm going to add that line quickly. Trim this line, and then this line that I've just added. So now I know, okay, that's the correct point. You can also use just the arc method to do that, but I've used this method now, and we know that it is from there to there. there's an arc of radius 80. So that doesn't look quite right now, and that's because this point is not defined and too far. So just do that, and then once again add that arc of radius 80. No, yeah, damn it. Let's try again. So from that point to that point, radius 80. Just zoom in. Okay, so now I'm just gonna make these two tangent. Okay, and also these two tangent. So you'll see I click on that line and I click on this line, and then I use a tangent constraint. Okay, and that moved it to the correct place. Now it's just the definition of that line. So this line is fixed now. However, the height is not fixed, and that will be defined by that dimension. But for now, it's fine. So I'm just going to trim some lines that it makes more sense. Before I do that, I'm going to add this line from there to there. Okay, and now I can trim. So I'll trim that line. It's not required, that one, and those two. Okay, so it looks quite messy now. And that's because dimensions is just added wherever it finds a space. So okay, I can also trim that line. So let's just create that line and then trim that. Okay, so there's that part created now. So now I'm just gonna add this line from there to about, yeah, vertically in line with that line. Let's just make sure that that's the case. Add that vertical constraint. Okay, so now we know that this center point up until that point is 80 millimeters. So I'm just going to add it here, wrap a dimension. From that center point to this point, it's 80 millimeters. And that was not supposed to happen. Let me just see. I'm not sure why that happened. So it's due to a tangent constraint somewhere. But yeah, to remove that, I'm just gonna add quickly this dimension, which is 25. I'll show it to you now. Okay, so it's that dimension. So now it should be sorted. Yeah, so it's only that dimension that can still change, and it can move up and down. So I'll re-add this dimension of 80 millimeters, and it does that again, which is not correct. Let's use the point. So from there to there needs to be 25, and try now. Okay, now it's getting silly. Okay, let's remove that. Okay, so before I do that, I'm going to define this constraint. So that's 55 from that point to the center point of that screw, and see if we can just constrain this thing. So that's why I said last week it's quite important to actually keep it fully constrained from the start. Then you don't struggle with these things. So that dimension is added now. It's 55. Now it is just this dimension that needs to change. Okay, I see the problem. So let's remove that vertical constraint first and then add this one, because it wants to move it, yeah, with that line, but that line is not defined yet. So that's 80 millimeters, and now we can remove that. I don't think it's going to remove it. So that's an auto dimension. It just adds that dimension in again. I can switch it off. Display auto dimensions. So now it's gone. Now it looks more neat because there's not all of that dimensions that I have not defined yet. So I can do it myself now. So now I can add that vertical constraint. So it's that one. So that line is correct now, and then we have still this distance here, and that needs to be, let me see if it's defined somewhere, otherwise it will, okay, yeah, so it will be defined by that dimension, which is from that point there. So you'll see that that dimension there is 15. So there's two lines going down from there. There's a line, and I'm going to tell you from the start now it's 5 millimeters for that small lines, because that's 15, and then those two distances are the same or are equal, meaning that it's 25 minus 15, it's 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that length is 5 millimeters. So I'm just going to add that one there and add another one there. And now we also know, so let's just move it down a bit. So yeah, let me just, I've removed this dimension earlier. So from there to there needs to be 25. So from that line to this line needs to be 25 millimeters. Okay. And then we know this distance. So from that to that needs to be 15. So you can either specify this or the 5 millimeter, but I'm just going to show you. If I click that now, it's gonna, okay, why is it not showing that? So it's actually over constrained now, because I've specified this as 5 and that as 5 and that as 25, meaning that that should be 15. There's no other way that it cannot be, yeah, it can be another dimension. So that's over constrained now, but I think this line is still not fully defined because I see it can still move. So let's just add a horizontal constraint to that. So now it won't be able to move like that. Yeah, like at an angle. So I just want to show you, if you add you over constrain something. So that's over constraining. Because that line is now defined, now that dimension is unnecessary. So now I can either remove one of those or that one. So we will also penalize you if you over constrain something. So let's just remove that dimension. Now we have that dimension, which is 12 and a half, defined from that point to the center point of that circle. It is 12 and a half. If I remember correctly, it's either 40 or 35. Yeah, it's 35. Now it's fully constrained. Okay, so we're happy about that. Yeah, we'll make sure that you have all the dimensions. Yeah, we're just gonna double check our sketches to make sure that you have all the dimensions. Okay, so now I can add that line. So there's a small line there, which is 5 millimeters long, and we also have that long line, which is 210 millimeters long. So 210, add it there. We'll worry about that later. Let's just add in this now. So that's 14 and 15.4. So you'll see it's quite easy to add that dimension. I'm just gonna add it like that, and then we know that from that point to that point we have a horizontal dimension of 15.4. This is 20, and now you'll see it's quite easy. I'm just going to say that arc and that point needs to be point on curve. Use the trim feature to remove the bottom part. Now we have this line running from there down to that line, and that's just a fillet added in there. So from there all the way to there, it needs to be tangent on that curve. Once again, use the trim feature to remove that part. That's, yeah, quickly to add that one. Fillet between these two lines has a radius of 10, if I remember correctly. Just make sure, yeah, that's a radius of 10. Sketch is fully constrained, so we're happy about that. We can quickly mirror the features. So let's just add this reference line now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a line here, and then say that point needs to be on that point. Just drag it a bit longer, make it a reference, add a dimension there, which is 20 degrees, because you'll see between those two blades is 40 degrees. Now you'll see the sketch is fully constrained with one auto dimension. This auto dimension is actually just this reference line. So if you want to, and I'll suggest it, just add a dimension to that line. So I'm just gonna add it here out of the way. So there it is. Just gonna drag it so it does not bother us, but now you'll see the sketch is fully constrained. I'm going to use my mirror feature. I'm going to use connected curves because we want all of this and that to be mirrored about that line. Click OK. As easy as 1, 2, 3. Add in those two lines. So that angle of 45 from that horizontal, 2 millimeters and 1 millimeter. So that's over constraining. Well, actually, it's not. You need that because I didn't say it's in the center. But yeah, so let's just add that line quickly. So it runs. There's one going through the center point, so it's on that arc. There's an easier way of doing this. So once again, gonna add a line there. Say that that center needs to be on that point. So you'll see you'll need to hover it a bit there to access these features. And then I'm just gonna extend it both sides. Add in a wrapper dimension of 45 degrees between that and that one. So that needs to be 45. Okay, and now I'm just somewhere gonna use the offset. We know it's 1 millimeter, and symmetric offset, so put it on both sides. And there it is. Now you'll see that that lines extend a bit beyond the circle, so I'm just gonna trim them away. And there you have it. There's the sketch. Sketch is fully constrained. If I finish it and just show you the front view. So there is a line missing there, and I think that might be, let me just see, but I think that might be, so the code word for this week is television. Yeah, so let's just, okay, I see this. Let's just do it on the side which was the original side. I'm not sure why he did this because there is a constraint. Okay, I'm not sure why he does that. Yeah, it might be NX bugging a bit, or it might be due to this constraint, but I'm pretty sure it's 35. Let's just change it to 40. So let's remove that, and then I'm going to add this as a point on curve. Okay, there it's fine now, and because it's mirrored, it's on that point. Sketch is fully constrained. Finish it, and there you have the sketch recreated. So yeah, I hope this video helps you in preparation for week 4. Apologies that naming is incorrect. Thank you very much.